The AI war between China and America is heating up, isn't it, Justin?
Absolutely. There's some fierce competition. And although we hear about the trade war all the time, what a lot of people may not know is it is a neck and neck race right now on who's going to develop the better AI policy, the better tool. If you're familiar with DeepSeek and Menace and how it's going after ChatGPT and other American-based language models, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Earlier this week, the Chinese Communist Party out of Beijing made a mandate to where each academic year, every student down to 6 years old is going to be introduced to at least 8 hours of AI training every academic year. So why is this important? Because couldn't the US school system also implement it? Yes, they could, but the CCP does have some advantages over us. And then one, when you look at the centralization versus decentralization, under the CCP, they have a more centralized system compared to the United States. What that means is they're able to develop and deploy this more rapidly across their nation. Now, this is wild because if you've ever seen construction projects in the CCP, it is nothing like driving by the house with the wrap on for 3 months waiting for it to be built. This is a very efficient and effective workforce. And so for them to really put this much weight into something to deploy it nationwide, it's going to be here before we know it. The downside on the US education system is, although sometimes decentralized education can be good, there's going to be some school systems implementing faster than others, going to be implementing different curriculums. Who's going to be involved in deciding, the different state curriculums? And that really brings you into strategy. So again, who's going to be really mandating the US strategy? Is it going to be the Department of Education? Is it going to be each state, the governor, the legislature? Who is going to be driving this? Who's going to be selecting who develops this material for each state or each school system again? Or is this going to be a federal policy? And how is that going to be managed? The CCP already knows, they're already working on it. And so for them, if they decide that they're going to implement this, it's going to be nationwide, same curriculum, same progress, each grade, each school, the whole educational system is going to come together and it's going to be streamlined. That is powerful. I'll give them that, because when you have a workforce that is streamlined and understands, it's kind of like how Deming did with the Japanese system and how Toyota adopted that, to where I could go to a Toyota plant in Michigan and one in Tokyo and essentially walk in and pick up work because everything, it fits together. It is centralized, it is similar and built on the same infrastructure. And so when they decide they want to deploy it, it's going to be deployed quickly and effectively. And then again, how is this going to affect the AI race? When you have an industry that is developing models that can compete with any other model on the earth, and they're neck and neck, constantly, edging past each other, but then you have a workforce that is being trained on AI from 6 years old that is already using AI in the classroom, it's going to be second nature by the time they even get to middle school. Whereas many times in the US educational system, a lot of your STEM-based curriculum isn't even introduced until middle school. And so the difference there is going to be massive once that generation really starts entering into the workforce and really getting into the global competition. And so it's going to produce in the Chinese workforce a very prepared, very advanced, very competent workforce in AI and any other emerging technologies, where the US may have some standouts under the current system. They may have some standouts, and that's similar to what you see in some of the Ivy League schools or the high IT schools compared to other schools where you have more specialized groups instead of a across the board specialization or generalization. It's going to be interesting. And if Europe the US, I guess you'd say the Western part of the world, the Western countries do not do something effectively, then the Chinese workforce and the Chinese leadership are going to effectively just have a major control or a really major advantage in the AI industry.
I think it's great news. And I'll tell you why. Because, Justin, I believe human beings don't step up to the plate as much
Hmm.
unless there's a disaster or they have real competition. And I've learned in life the everyone wins and gets a trophy concept is the kiss of death of self-confidence, of morale, of reasons to even show up. And that was a great noble experiment, but I think we've proven that fails. We need to compete to survive. And you and I know we've been working on what is the tools the educational system needs so that they're teaching their students how to surf in this new ocean that makes them a stronger student, not a lazier student.
And to
And
use that analogy is so perfect because if we do not, as in the US educational system, introduce our students to AI until middle or high school, then by the time they're learning how to swim, then other nations in the world, their middle school, their high school students are already going to be surfing the big swell. And so it's just, we got to toss them in the water or do something, get an emergency swim school together, but we have got to get this integrated into the curriculum and we've got to figure out a strategy.
that's to me the exciting news. It's coming, it's here, it's in our face. And just so anyone listening, knowing we're ready to help. We're already working with educations and educators. Those that are smart have come forward to us and said we need to have policies, we need to be rules. We aren't going to be able to control this new ocean. We better teach them how to surf so they don't kill themselves, but they also are effective in moving forward. And that's to me the good news on this. We need the competition. We need our, you know what, kicked a little bit to get us going. And it's not America. I think it's human nature, Justin. I think it's just like I was talking to someone today and they said, why couldn't we come together and help each other as neighbors like we did in Western North Carolina normally?
Right.
Well, it's just human nature. Now, you don't want a disaster to get people to come
Hmm.
together, but this is the disaster for our country of what China's giving us a red light on of we've got to get focused. Our educators need to not slow walk this. They need to get educated. They need to be stepping up the plate so they're helping their students be more useful. And one of the things I'm listening for is how many people they're not giving them ways to use it more. So what the kids are
Right.
doing is they're going to it for everything and blindly trusting it. Well, that's actually making them weaker because they haven't stepped up and given guidelines and structures for this. So this is what occurring. I was just talking to another person. He goes, I'm worried about hiring a lot of these kids because they'll go to ChatGPT and trust it like it's
Hmm.
accurate. Well, if they had good education to understand what are hallucinations, these are probabilistic systems, the type of stuff we train, then they'd be understanding the domain it's useful and how they need to screen. So I think the call out to now is bring it on, China. We need the competition. And America, let's all step up to the plate. And if your leaders or instructors aren't doing it, you need to go by when. And for your leaders, instructors need help. We're available to help you right now. That's what I'll say.
I think that's a pretty good rallying cry,
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, great. Well, we look forward to hearing other people's view on this. This is changing, I don't know, daily, weekly,
Daily.
whatever. And we are doing our best to jump in when we think there's some more education you need. So this is Martin Brossman.
Dr. Justin Rose.